What is going on, guys? Long time no see. Noah White here again. I appreciate you guys tuning in for the video. And as I said in the last video, sometimes you guys just have to bear with me. Sometimes I'm able to just crank videos out because I have some extra time. However, most of the time I tend to be a little busy throughout the week working on other cars because, as you guys know, I have another channel, and so working on cars is generally what I do in addition to having to work on my own. So sometimes I just don't have time to work on the IS or the Civic. So therefore I won't be able to, always upload a video every week. I've been trying to upload a video every week or a short or something like that. So just bear with me, and I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Getting close to 700 subscribers, and you guys are awesome. I really appreciate that. Today I'm going to be working on the Civic, getting the cylinder head back on. I actually got the cylinder head back from machine shop. I did have to go out of town a little bit to find a decent machine shop that I hopefully can trust, and he seems to have done a good job on the head. So I went on ahead and cleaned up the block already, but let me just show you guys what I'm working with. So if you'll remember, this is where we left off with the last video. I went on ahead and cleaned up the block. I wiped down, just the pistons. It's not gonna matter, but I just wiped them down real quick. But the surface of this looks good. Went on ahead and put the dowel pins back on. Don't forget, don't lose these things. Sometimes they come out with the head. There's two of them here on this LS engine. And I gotta clean up the intake manifold as well just before I go on ahead and put it on. But clean the block up. I always just use a razor blade, just a single razor blade, and kind of just lightly scrape off anything that's on there. And I went on ahead and wiped it off. So this is all good to go here. Let me show you guys what I got going on over here. The cylinder head I got back from the machine shop. He said the valves were fine, everything was holding pressure just fine. So if you look a little closer, there are a few imperfections where, like say like this right here, or these little things right here. It's just, corrosion from antifreeze. It'll happen. So all I'm concerned about is that the surface just around the cylinders are nice and clean so that the head gasket can get a nice seal. But he definitely confirmed, as I already knew, that the head gasket was definitely blown. And if you want to go back and look at the other video, if you'll remember, in between the cylinders it was really black because combustion was happening between the cylinders. So but anyway, I got that all resurfaced and taken care of, so we're good to go there. So when I'm going to put this back together, I usually just buy OEM Honda head bolts, and I recommend that everyone, when you do a head gasket on any engine, that you buy new head bolts, because most of them are not reusable. Like these are the old head bolts. They're all torque to yield bolts, meaning when you torque them once they stretch, and that's all you get out of them. I will tell you right now that I have reused some of these before and I have had luck, but I'm not going to reuse them in this case. Especially because these things used to be about $9 a piece. Now they're about $22 for the shorter ones, and then there's two longer ones that are $34 a piece. So I don't know, it totaled up to be about like $260 or $270, which is crazy. So instead of going that route, I went on ahead and just bought some ARP head studs. These were $160. I got them from Summit, and obviously these are much better. They'll clamp down with much more force. In case I decide to boost this engine or something like that, maybe I can go on ahead and do that now. But I went on ahead and picked these up, so I will be installing these, and comes with the instructions over there. And so the only other thing that I was really waiting on getting was head gaskets and the top end gaskets. So exhaust manifold gasket, intake manifold gasket, and valve cover gasket and whatnot. But fortunate enough for me, since you guys are so awesome, a subscriber actually reached out to me. Goes by the name of Dr. Gunkel. He actually sent me two head gaskets. So he sent me this black one here, which is a factory world pack like stone head gasket, which is probably the one I'm going to use. And then he also sent me a Felpro MLS Permatorque gasket, and I've used these in the past, and that looks like what was on the car now. These are okay, but I don't like the coating that comes on them. I don't know if it just doesn't help. They just don't seem to seal very well. So I'm gonna go on ahead and go with this OE head gasket. And so yeah, he sent these to me and I really appreciate it. That guy is awesome. And he also sent me all the gaskets I need. So I got an exhaust manifold gasket, he sent me an intake manifold gasket, and he sent me 2 valve cover gaskets as well. This blue one looks like the typical Felpro, and the black one might be like a OE Honda. But yeah, all the way from Canada. So shout out to that guy. If you're watching this, I really appreciate it. So save me a little bit of money there too, which is great. I'm just gonna get right into installing these head studs, and I'll show you guys how to do that in case you've never installed ARP head studs before. All right, so when you're installing these studs, I like to wear gloves. You don't have to with this particular line of ARP studs. The L19 studs, you do need to wear gloves. You can't touch them with your hand because the oils and stuff will kind of just, you know, deteriorate the metal. But with these particular studs, you want to make sure that you clean out the threads that are in the block. Naturally, there's probably some oil on some of those because the head gasket was blown, or there could even be coolant in there. You want to make sure you get all the threads clean and chased. Make sure that there's no debris in any of the threads. Same goes for the hardware. You want to make sure that it is clean and ready to go. Now, with these particular studs, if any of these are protruding into a water jacket, you know, like if it goes through a water jacket possibly, or you think water might touch it for whatever reason, you want to go on ahead and use ARP's thread sealant on the threads before you thread them into the block. They don't recommend using motor oil when you thread these into here because the clamping forces are quite a bit higher than the factory. So you do want to make sure you stick them into the block with the Allen head facing up towards you. And then what I like to do is just give a little bit of this assembly lubricant. I just put some on there and I kind of just spread it like this around there, and then what I do is just go on ahead and thread it in. Now you want to make sure, as you know, with these LS engines, the 2 in the middle are the longer studs, and the outer ones, so these 4 here are shorter and these 4 here are shorter. So make sure you pull them all out and make sure you know you have the right ones going to the correct location. ARP says to just get these hand tight, so I'm just going to use just an Allen wrench to get them in there by hand, and that's it. Okay, first one in. So pretty much all I'm going to do is just go on ahead and install the rest of them. I'm not going to show you guys all of that, but I'm going to go on ahead and get all of these installed, and I'll get right back to you guys in a minute. Got all the head studs installed. They're all hand tight as the instructions say to do. And now the other thing you're going to need to do is to make sure you use their assembly lubricant on these threads up here on top. When you go on ahead and tighten the nuts down, the nuts and washers, it's kind of hard to get to these studs when the head is on. You know, I mean, it's not impossible, you could do it, but what I do is actually just go on ahead, I put on lubricant on all of these already, and I rub them all around so that they're all within all the threads, and then I'll go on ahead and put the head gasket on, and I'll slide the head on. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to use the stone head gasket. It's a multi-layer steel head gasket, and you guys do want to make sure that you pay attention to head gaskets, because sometimes they have an up and a down side. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. In the case of this particular head gasket, there's an up that says right there, up. It's backwards because, you know, this sits on the motor like this, but you can clearly see that it says up. So you're going to go on ahead, I'm going to put these on like this. Another way to tell is, since this motor has locating dowels, there are holes that are bigger on the back side to slide over the dowels versus, you know, if they went anywhere else. So you just want to make sure that everything is clean. Don't get any grease or oil or anything in this. You don't need to use copper spray on factory head gaskets. Please don't do that. That stuff ends up getting into the motor sometimes and into the oil, and I've seen some of it in bearings and whatnot. So just don't use any copper spray. Just leave it just like this, And then now we can pretty much go on ahead and slide the head on and go on ahead and get this thing torqued down. Alright, so as I told you earlier, it's kind of hard to get to some of these studs. You know, obviously you could just put it on your finger and then rub it around, but I find that that's a little bit more difficult. So got this guy on here. He's on flush all the way. No problems at all there. Now, in the instructions, what you're going to do is you got to put on a washer first, and then you're going to put on a nut, which by the way is a 1/2 inch. Takes a 1/2 inch 12-point socket for these particular ones. I'm using a 13mm 12-point socket, but let me show you what they look like. Yeah, there. I don't know if it'll focus on that, but it is definitely a 12-point, not a traditional 6-point. So just be sure you have the right socket for that. Again, a 1/2 inch 12-point will work. I'm using a 13mm 12-point, and that's going to work. Now, if you notice on here on the instructions, we are down here to number 7 right here. I don't know why there's 2 number 7s, but follow the manufacturer's recommended torque sequence and tighten the nuts in 3 equal steps to 80. So, I mean, you could take 80 divided by 3 and work your way up. That's probably what I will do. And then it also says to use the assembly, I can't read. It also says to use the assembly lubricant, which I already have done. Yeah, feel free to use more if you'd like to use more. That's just this stuff right here. I mean, you can put a dab inside the nut before you put it on. But yeah, it's really pretty much straightforward. The torque sequence you want to use for this is to work from the middle of the head out. So, you know, and for instance, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or excuse me, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can look this stuff up online. You're pretty much just working in a crisscross pattern, working your way out. You do not want to start on the outside and tighten in because, you know, it may not seal very well in the middle. So definitely work your way from the middle out. So I'm going to go on ahead and get these guys all tightened down. Probably not going to show you guys that because it's, you know, just tightening nuts, so it's not that exciting. But I'm going to go ahead and get that completely torqued down, and then we can get to the rest of the motor and getting it back together. Alright, got the cylinder head back on, fully tightened down. Got everything tightened in 3 steps up to 80 foot-pounds as the instructions say. So yeah, nothing really much left but to just, you know, get the gaskets on, get the intake manifold on, get the exhaust back on, slap all the cams and everything back together. Yeah, so probably just dive right back into doing that stuff, all the little tedious work, and I'll see you guys in a minute. along here. Got everything pretty much on. Got the cam gears back on, got the timing belt back on and tensioned up. While I was here, I went on ahead and just adjusted the valves. If you guys haven't seen it, well, actually I'll probably have a video out on that showing you guys how to adjust valves on these Hondas. So that'll probably be the next video I upload, just a little tech series. Should be a quick, you know, maybe 6 to 8 minute long video showing you guys how to adjust the valves on a Honda motor, or these particular motors, the B series motors. But yeah, pretty much got everything back in. Got a new cam plug over here, got 2 new cam seals on there as well. Got the exhaust fully tightened on, got the intake on. Gonna get ready to put the distributor back on and plug it up, and then I'm gonna put the spark plugs back in and get the valve cover on. So I'll get right back to you guys here in a moment when I get that stuff all sorted. Alright, got everything back together for the most part. I did leave the upper radiator hose off because I do think I want to flush this radiator out just in case there's any contaminants in there or anything, you know, that shouldn't be in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave the hose off for now. I pretty much have everything else connected. Got the power steering connected back up, the breather lines and all the connections and stuff like that. Everything's back together for the most part. Just left off the radiator hose. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that I need to address at the moment. Now I wanted to go on ahead and get this all together and start it up for you guys, you know, just so I know for my own sake that everything is running good. I'm pretty sure that this thing is going to be fine. However, your boy is an idiot and I lost the key. I don't know what I did with it after I struggled getting the key back from the insurance company, as you guys know in the older videos. Now I don't know what I did with the key, so I thought I put it inside my house, but I don't know. So I'm gonna have to track that down. So yeah, I wanted it to get started today, but unfortunately I have to find the key first. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to leave you guys here as of now. There's really not much left to do other than flush out the radiator, fill it up with the coolant, and just start it. As far as I know, everything should be fine. I didn't touch anything else except for the head gasket, so that should be solved. And yeah, so I'll just have to catch up with you guys on this project on the next video. I appreciate you guys as usual watching the video. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.